8 years shattered. My sister stole my husband, faked his child, and begged for my home. The kitchen was warm with the scent of cinnamon and apples, a pie cooling on the counter, its golden crust a fragile reminder of the life I'd built. I stood at the sink, sleeves rolled up, scrubbing a cast-iron skillet under a stream of scalding water, the steam rising like the anger I couldn't rinse away. My hands trembled, soap suds slipping through my fingers as I fought to steady myself. Outside, the October dusk painted the sky in bruised purples, my reflection flickering in the window. 34. Brown eyes shadowed with exhaustion, hair yanked into a messy bun. 8 years with Ryan, 5 of them married, and now this. My sister Tessa, claiming she was pregnant with his baby, sitting in my living room last week, asking me to leave my own house so they could play happy family. The skillet clattered into the sink, water splashing my apron, and I gripped the counter, nails digging into the wood. How had everything I'd trusted turned to ash? It began 3 months ago, a rainy Tuesday when my phone buzzed with Tessa's name. "Clara, I'm in the hospital," she'd rasped, her voice thin, trembling. "I don't know what to do." My stomach dropped, a familiar ache tugging at me. Tessa was 27, my little sister, wild, impulsive, with a laugh like wind chimes and a knack for chaos. She'd lost her job managing a boutique when it folded, her savings already thin from a string of bad decisions. Impulse trips, a leased car she couldn't afford. Then West Nile virus hit, a mosquito bite turned nightmare. Fever spiking to 104, muscle aches that left her bedridden, a week in the ICU that drained her bank account and her spirit. She'd called me from a sterile room, tubes in her arms, begging for help. Our parents were 6 hours away in Willow Creek, running their hardware store, too tied to the business to drop everything. Her friends, flaky artists and bartenders, were drowning in their own bills and babies. I was her anchor, the steady one, the sister who fixed things. I'd sat Ryan down that night, the two of us on our sagging couch, a bottle of Merlot open on the coffee table. The living room glowed soft with lamplight, the walls lined with bookshelves we'd built together, his sci-fi novels next to my cookbooks. He'd leaned back, one arm draped over my shoulders, his flannel shirt soft against my cheek. "What's up, babe?" he'd asked, sipping his wine, blue eyes crinkling with that easy smile I'd fallen for. I'd traced the rim of my glass, hesitating. "Tessa's sick, really sick. Lost her job, too. She's got nowhere to go. I'm thinking maybe she could stay here just till she's better." Ryan nodded, no hesitation. "She's family, Clara. We've got the space. Let her crash." His hand squeezed mine, warm and sure, and I'd felt that old rush of gratitude. 8 years together, and he still made me feel like we were a team. We'd met at a book fair in the city, me 26, juggling trays as a caterer's assistant, him 28, a warehouse worker with a dog-eared copy of Dune under his arm. He'd bumped into me by the mystery section, spilling my coffee, then cracked a pun. "Guess I'm brewing trouble." That was so bad, I laughed despite myself. We'd talked for hours, swapped numbers, and by our third date, pizza and a Star Wars marathon, I was hooked. He was steady, funny, with broad shoulders and a crooked grin that lit up his face. 2 years later, we moved into this house, a fixer-upper I'd bought with my catering savings, its creaky floors and chipped paint hours to mend. We married 3 years after that, a backyard ceremony under oak trees strung with white lights, me in a lace dress I'd found on sale, him in a borrowed suit grinning like he'd won the world. No kids. We talked about it, but my business took off, and his writing became his baby. I'd started Clara's Kitchen 4 years ago, a risk that bloomed into steady gigs, weddings, birthdays, corporate lunches. Ryan quit his job to write full-time, a novel he swore would be his legacy. The house, the car, the bank account, all in my name, a practical choice we'd agreed on when my income outpaced his dreams. "It's ours, not mine," he'd said, kissing my forehead. I'd believed him. Tessa arrived the next week, a shadow of herself. Pale, thin, her hazel eyes dull. She dragged a battered suitcase and a cardboard box into the guest room, its yellow walls and quilted bed a stark contrast to her exhaustion. I'd cooked for her, chicken noodle soup, oatmeal with honey, sat by her bed with cool cloths when the fever lingered, drove her to follow-ups when her legs shook. Ryan helped too, carrying trays, joking about her invalid chic look, sweatpants and my old hoodies. "You're a saint, Clara," she'd murmur, her hand weak in mine, and I'd shrug. "You'd do it for me." She'd nod, tears in her eyes, and I'd believe that too. Weeks passed, her strength crept back, color in her cheeks, a bounce in her step. I thought she'd leave soon, find a job, reclaim her life. I didn't see the cracks forming, the glances I missed, the late-night whispers I'd chalked up to insomnia. Last Tuesday shattered everything. I'd come home from a catering gig, lasagna for a law firm's retreat, bone-tired but humming, the kitchen still warm from the pie I'd baked that morning. Tessa called us to the living room, her voice sharp, urgent. "Clara, Ryan, sit. I've got something to say." I sank onto the couch, Ryan beside me, his knee brushing mine, a casual intimacy I'd taken for granted. Tessa stood by the fireplace, its mantel cluttered with our wedding photos, us laughing, cake-smeared, framed in oak. She twisted her hands, a nervous tic from childhood, and I thought, she's moving out? Finally. Instead, she looked down and said, "I'm pregnant. It's Ryan's." The room spun, air sucked out like a vacuum. My chest tightened, breath caught. "What?" I whispered, my voice a ghost. Ryan stiffened, his hand jerking from mine. "Tessa, what the hell?" He choked, face draining to ash. She rushed on, words spilling like a rehearsed script. "It's been a few weeks. I didn't plan it, Clara, I swear. I'm so sorry, but it happened, and I'm keeping the baby. I think you should move out. It'd be better, you know? For us to be a family. I'd feel weird staying here with you, now that I'm pregnant." Her eyes flicked to mine. Guilt, defiance, a glint of entitlement. And I sat there, stunned, her audacity a fist to my gut. Move out? From my house? The one I'd scraped for, painted, furnished with every paycheck from Clara's kitchen? The living room blurred. Our bookshelves, the rug we'd haggled for at a flea market, the life I'd thought was ours. Ryan's voice broke the haze, hoarse and shaky. "Tessa, you didn't tell me you were going to do this." His shock mirrored mine, but his eyes wouldn't meet mine, darting to the floor. Guilt radiated from him, a silent confession. "How long?" I demanded, my voice trembling, rising. Tessa bit her lip, a flush creeping up her neck. "Since Raleigh? That weekend you were gone. We talked late, and it just happened. 3 weeks ago, I'd been 3 hours away, catering a retreat, sleeping in a motel while my husband, my sister, crossed a line in my own bed. Bile rose, hot and sour. "You're sorry?" I spat, standing, the couch creaking. "You sleep with my husband, get pregnant, and want me to leave?" I turned to Ryan, his head bowed, hands clenched. "And you?" 8 years, Ryan. 8 years, and this is what you do?" He mumbled, "Clara, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I didn't—" I cut him off, rage steadying me. "Don't lie to me." Facing Tessa, I squared my shoulders, voice cold as steel. "This is my house. I paid for every inch. I'm not going anywhere. You want a family? Take him and leave. I'm filing for divorce. I don't want either of you here." Tessa blinked, mouth parting like she thought I'd cave. Ryan stepped in, hands up. "She's right, Tessa. I don't own anything. The house, the car, it's all Clara's. I lied to you, said I had more." His voice cracked, pathetic. Tessa's face twisted, fury erupting. "You lied to me?" she screamed, rounding on him. "You said you ran this place, that we'd have it all." She called him a fraud, a liar, her voice bouncing off the walls. I watched, numb, their fight a sideshow to my crumbling world. "Enough," I snapped, slicing through their chaos. "Pack your stuff, both of you, get out, now." Ryan nodded, defeated, and shuffled to our bedroom, my bedroom, grabbing a duffel. Tessa dropped to her knees, tears streaming, clawing at my jeans. "Clara, please, I'm sorry, I'll fix it. I'm pregnant. Your nephew. I've got nowhere to go." That word, nephew, lit a fuse. I yanked her up, my grip tight, and shoved her toward the door. "Family doesn't betray like this," I hissed, my voice shaking with fury. "Get out." She stumbled onto the porch, sobbing, begging, but I slammed the door, the thud echoing in my chest. I stormed to the guest room, her sanctuary, my mistake, and flung her things into her suitcase. Clothes, a cracked mirror, that damn chipped mug. I dragged it outside, tossing it into the wet grass. Leave or I call the cops, I said, my breath visible in the chilly air. She wailed, but I shut the door again, locking it. Ryan emerged, duffel slung over his shoulder, head low. I'm so sorry, Clara, he whispered, eyes glistening. I turned away, letting silence swallow him. Tessa's cries pierced the night for an hour, muffled by the headphones I jammed on. Alanis Morissette screaming what I couldn't. Until the porch fell quiet. I peeked out. She was gone, her bags with her. That night, I called Ellen, my lawyer, her voice a lifeline through the phone. File for divorce, I said, steady despite the tears. He cheated with Tessa. She says she's pregnant. I want him gone. Ellen didn't flinch. We'll make it quick, she promised, and I hung up, collapsing on the couch. The pie sat untouched, a relic of a day that felt years ago. I stared at the ceiling, the house too big, too quiet, every corner whispering memories. Ryan's laugh, Tessa's gratitude, a life I'd thought was solid. Wednesday dawned gray, rain tapping the windows. My phone rang. Mom. Clara, how could you? She snapped, voice sharp. Tessa called, hysterical. You threw her out. Pregnant, recovering, no job? That's heartless. I gripped the mug in my hand, coffee sloshing. Heartless? She slept with Ryan, Mom, in my house, then told me to leave so they could take it? You're taking her side? Dad chimed in gruff. She's fragile, Clara. Ryan spun lies. Said he was some big shot, controlled the money. She fell for it. You can't kick her out like that. I laughed, bitter and raw. She betrayed me. They both did. I don't owe her my home or my life. Mom softened, pleading. Family sticks together. She's sorry, Clara. She needs you. I hung up, the click a wall between us, and blocked their numbers. My parents, my foundation, choosing her. It was a knife twist I hadn't braced for. Work became my refuge, kneading dough, chopping herbs, delivering trays with a smile I faked. Clara's kitchen hummed, oblivious to my wreckage. Home was a minefield. Ryan's desk, cleared out, the guest room, bare, the couch where we'd watch The Office, his arm around me. Ellen filed the papers, assuring me Ryan wouldn't fight. He had no ground. Tessa called once, sobbing. Clara, I'm so sorry. I was stupid. Please, I'm pregnant, alone. I hung up, her voice a wound I couldn't stitch. Friends texted, Lisa, Mark, Jen, some outraged for me, others neutral. I told Lisa over coffee, my hands shaking around the mug. He cheated. She's pregnant. It's done. She hugged me, fierce, promising to spread the truth. 2 weeks later, Ryan texted, a novel of regret. Clara, I'm sorry. I felt like nothing. No job, no book, living off you. Tessa was there, and I lied, made myself sound big. It spiraled. I never cheated before, I swear. I hope you'll forgive me someday. I read it in the dark, wine glass sweating in my hand, tears dripping onto the screen. 8 years, and he'd thrown it away for a lie. I blocked him, not out of hate, though it simmered, but to protect the shards of me left. He'd had years to talk, to trust me. Instead, he'd trusted her, and I paid the price. A month later, my parents showed up. Sunday morning, unannounced, banging on my door. I was in pajamas, coffee brewing, the house silent. Clara, open up, Dad barked. I cracked the door, arms crossed. If it's about Tessa, save it. Mom's eyes were puffy, voice trembling. We flew here to fix this. She's pregnant, struggling. Your family. You can't treat her like this. I snapped, rage boiling over. Family? She slept with my husband. You're on my porch defending her. Apologize or leave. They stammered, pushing the family line, and I unloaded. Her betrayal, their blindness, my right to peace. She stabbed me in the back and you're guilting me? Mom sobbed. Dad yelled, you're a terrible daughter. And I slammed the door, their footsteps fading into the rain. Weeks stretched, a quiet limbo. No family, no Ryan. Just me and the hum of my ovens. Then Lisa called, voice tight. Tessa's saying she miscarried because of you. Stress from you kicking her out. Your parents are furious. I laughed hollow. Let them believe it. But Ryan texted again, a bombshell. Clara, she was never pregnant. I asked for proof, tests, appointments, nothing. She faked it, said she miscarried when I pushed. I told your parents. She's lying. My jaw dropped, the con snapping into focus. Her tears, her pleas, a ploy to keep my guilt, my home. I didn't reply, just sat there, the lie a final gut punch. Yesterday, Mom called, soft, tentative. Clara, we know she lied. We're sorry. Can we talk? I hung up, too raw to bend. Today I'm meeting Ellen at Brew Haven. Divorce papers signed. A new life ahead. But as I pull into the lot, my phone buzzes. Lisa. Clara, Tessa's at your place with your mom. They're waiting. They say it's urgent. My hands shake. The cafe ahead, Ellen inside, and my past clawing back. What now? After 8 years, my sister claimed she was pregnant by my husband, and now she's at my house with Mom, saying there's more to tell.